In the rain-soaked streets of Boise, Idaho, a young tech mogul's world turns upside down. Lucas Reed, 32, CEO of a booming AI company, built his empire from nothing, yet lives in silence, haunted by past decisions. One stormy night, a 12-year-old delivery boy named Ethan trips and drops an old, water-stained letter. Lucas bends to help and freezes. The handwriting. It's his. The letter names him as Ethan's father. That moment cracks everything. Lucas remembers Natalie, a brilliant programmer he met 12 years ago in Seattle. She vanished from his life. And now her children, Ethan and his little sister Chloe, are surviving alone. Their mother is in prison, framed for stealing code. Lucas discovers she tried to reach him, but her letters were blocked by his own assistant. Driven by guilt and love, Lucas takes Ethan and Chloe into his home. He vows to free Natalie, and finds the children gifted. Ethan codes like a prodigy, and Chloe sketches robots with uncanny precision. But trouble stirs. A jealous relative wants custody, and Lucas uncovers a deeper betrayal that could destroy them all. Will Lucas prove Natalie's innocence? Can he rebuild the family he never knew he had? One rain-soaked letter changed everything. Subscribe now to witness a story of redemption, justice, and unexpected love. The rain hadn't let up all day. It tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Lucas Reed's mansion like it was trying to get inside. Inside, everything was still. Sleek countertops, silent AI assistants glowing in standby, and the hum of quiet loneliness that had filled the halls for years. Lucas, 32, sat in his glass-walled office overlooking the hills of Boise, fingers idle on the edge of a keyboard. On the screen, lines of AI code waited for his approval. Instead, his eyes drifted toward the framed photograph on the desk, a launch day photo from 5 years ago. His expression in it was proud, confident, but not full. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "End call," he muttered, and the screen dimmed, silencing the boardroom where his executives had been praising his latest acquisition. Lucas was tired, not from work, but from winning. Every new success felt like it echoed off empty walls. A knock echoed faintly from the grand entry. He glanced at the time. No one visited unannounced. He opened the door himself. Standing on the porch, soaked from the downpour, was a boy, no older than 12. He wore a hoodie too big for him, sneakers torn at the seams, and a pizza delivery bag slung over one shoulder. The boy blinked up at Lucas, rain streaking down his cheeks like tears. "Delivery for Reed?" he asked, voice uncertain. Lucas took the box silently, but as the boy turned to go, something slipped from the strap of his bag, a folded piece of paper, damp but still intact. It fluttered down onto the marble floor. "You dropped something," Lucas said, picking it up. The boy froze. "Oh, it's not important." Lucas opened it anyway. The moment his eyes scanned the page, the world around him seemed to stop. It was a letter, old, crinkled, the ink faded but still legible. "Lucas, if you're reading this, then I was right. His name is Ethan. He has your eyes. I tried everything to find you, but they wouldn't let me." The handwriting, the name. Lucas staggered back a step, blinking hard. He looked again at the boy standing before him. Blonde hair, blue eyes, a face he had seen once before, in the mirror. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then," the boy replied, confused. "Why?" Lucas didn't answer. His fingers trembled around the paper. A letter from 12 years ago. A name he'd buried in his past. Natalie. Her voice came rushing back. Late nights at that AI conference in Seattle. Her laugh, her ideas, her dreams. She had wanted to build something that mattered. And then she was gone. Just gone. Lucas had buried himself in code and capital and let the silence grow. "Do you know who wrote this?" he asked, holding the letter gently. Ethan's eyes dropped to the page. "My mom. She said it was important, but I shouldn't read it. She said, if I ever found someone named Lucas Reed, I should give it to him." Lucas's stomach twisted. "Where is she now?" The boy hesitated. "In prison. They say she stole some kind of robot code, but she didn't. I know she didn't." Lucas knelt slowly, eyes level with the boy's. "And your father?" The boy frowned. "I don't have one." The words struck like a blow. Lucas reached into his coat pocket and folded the letter again, placing it gently inside. His hand lingered there, over the paper, over the years lost. "Come in," he said quietly. Ethan looked at him, puzzled. "You don't even know me." Lucas's voice cracked. "I think I do." As the boy stepped inside, rain still dripping from his clothes, Lucas shut the door behind him. In his palm, the folded letter felt heavier than it should have, like the weight of a second chance. And upstairs, forgotten in a drawer, was a photo from that conference long ago. Natalie, laughing beside him, holding a daisy between her fingers. It was time to remember. Lucas led Ethan through the grand foyer, the boy's sneakers squishing softly against the polished floor. A trail of rainwater followed behind them. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was loaded. Lucas's heart pounded, the letter in his pocket like a pulse against his chest. "You hungry?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Ethan glanced around the sleek space. "A little," he said. "But I should get back soon. My sister's waiting." Lucas paused. "Sister?" "Chloe. She's 10. We take turns delivering," Ethan said, like it was normal for kids to be working in the rain at night. Lucas swallowed hard. "Where do you live?" The boy shrugged. "Over on 5th, next to the tire shop. It's not great." Lucas's gaze dropped to the frayed hem of Ethan's hoodie. His gut tightened. "Does she know about the letter?" "No. Mom gave it to me a while ago. She said to keep it safe." Lucas nodded, then turned toward the kitchen. "Let me get you something warm, and then we're going to pick up Chloe." As they sat at the island, Ethan cupped his hands around the steaming mug of cocoa. His fingers were red from the cold, his eyes drifting toward the window where the rain still fell. Lucas noticed how Ethan's gaze lingered, focused, like he was studying the way water moved down the glass. "You like to draw?" Lucas asked, trying to read him. Ethan perked up slightly. "Yeah, and I code too. Not super good, just basic stuff." Lucas blinked. "What kind of code?" Ethan hesitated, then pulled a damp notebook from his delivery bag. He opened to a page filled with sketched robots and handwritten commands. Loops, conditionals, primitive but thoughtful logic. Lucas studied the drawings, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "You wrote this?" "Yeah. I read your paper on adaptive learning networks. It helped." Lucas stared at the boy, stunned. "You read that?" Ethan shrugged again, modest. "It's online." Lucas was about to respond when his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, another reminder for his 9:00 p.m. AI call. He let it go. "Come on," Lucas said. "Let's get Chloe." The drive was quiet. The rain softened into a mist as they pulled up to a rundown apartment above a shuttered bakery. The door opened before they even knocked. Chloe stood there, small and sharp-eyed, hugging a backpack to her chest. "You're late," she said to Ethan, but her voice was more worried than angry. "I met someone," Ethan replied. Her gaze shifted to Lucas. She narrowed her eyes. "He's not a stranger," Ethan said quickly. He's our dad." Chloe's jaw dropped. "What?" Lucas crouched down, his voice low. "Your mom, Natalie." I met her 12 years ago. I didn't know about you, I swear." Chloe didn't speak. She looked at Ethan, then at the man before her. Then, without warning, she reached into her backpack and pulled out a crumpled sketchbook. She flipped to a page and held it up. It was a drawing. 2 kids standing in the rain, a tall man behind them. No face, just a shadow. The title scrawled above, "If We Ever Find Him." Lucas reached out slowly, his fingers brushing the damp paper. He blinked hard, throat thick. "You drew this?" he asked. Chloe nodded. "It's from a dream." Lucas looked at her, then at Ethan. "Let's go somewhere warm, both of you." As they stepped into the car, Chloe clutched her sketchbook tightly, as if it were armor. Lucas watched them settle in, quiet and wide-eyed in the back seat. The soft hum of the heater filled the silence. For a man who had everything, stock, tech, recognition, Lucas had never felt this nervous. Back at the house, as the kids explored the guest suite, Lucas stood alone in the hallway. He opened the letter again, rereading Natalie's words. "They need you." He folded it slowly, then turned his eyes to the rain-slick window. This time, it didn't feel like a storm. It felt like a beginning. Lucas stood in the hallway outside the guest suite, staring at the closed door. Through the wood, he could hear muffled voices. Chloe showing Ethan a sketch, Ethan explaining the smart mirror in the bathroom. It was the sound of children. But not just any children, his. He took a breath and turned toward his office. Inside, everything was as he left it. Cool blue lights, silent tech, clean lines. But now, it all felt hollow. He sat at his desk and opened the bottom drawer. Inside was a photo album, just one, tucked away like a secret. He flipped to the page he hadn't seen in years. Natalie. The picture was grainy, taken in Seattle. She was laughing, standing beneath a banner that read AI for Humanity. Her hair was pulled back, a daisy tucked behind her ear. Lucas ran his thumb over the image. "I tried everything to find you," the letter had said. So why hadn't he looked? The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Reed," said Jenna, his assistant, "I moved your morning meetings. The team needs your notes on the Japan prototype." Lucas hesitated, then pressed the button. "Push everything. Indefinitely." Pause. "Sir, just do it." He hung up. That night, he sat across from Ethan and Chloe at the dining table. The kids ate carefully, unsure of the silverware, eyeing the chandelier like it might drop on them. Lucas broke the silence. "Your mom, Natalie. She was brilliant." Chloe looked up. "You knew her?" Lucas nodded. "We met at a tech summit. She was the smartest person in every room." "She still is," Ethan said quickly. "Even in prison." Lucas's face darkened. "What exactly happened?" Chloe pushed her plate away. "Some guy said she stole something. Code, but she didn't. It was hers. She built it." Lucas leaned forward. "Do you remember his name?" They shook their heads. Ethan glanced around the room. "She always said you'd find us one day. She kept that picture of you, with her, in a plastic sleeve." Lucas felt something shatter quietly inside him. "Did she ever try to contact me?" "She said she emailed," Chloe murmured. "A lot, but no one answered." Lucas stood suddenly and walked to his laptop. He opened his old email archives, searched for Natalie. Nothing. Not one message. Then he tried again, this time looking through the filtered folder his assistant had set up years ago. Profit seekers, fan mail, cold outreach. His eyes widened. 12 emails, all from Natalie. His breath caught. The subject lines were calm, polite. "Please read. Important about Ethan and Chloe. I'm not asking for money." Lucas clicked into one. "I don't need anything but the truth. Your children deserve to know their father. If you're reading this, thank you." He closed the laptop. "Your mom tried," he whispered. "She really tried." The guilt felt unbearable. Later that night, Lucas walked past the guest room. The light was still on. He knocked gently. "Come in," Ethan said. Lucas stepped inside. The kids had laid out their drawings across the bedspread. Robots, cities, diagrams, and, in the middle, Chloe's picture again, the one with the shadowy man and the words, "If we ever find him." Lucas sat down on the edge of the bed. "Can I tell you a secret?" They nodded. "I think I lost something important a long time ago, and today, I think I found it again." Ethan tilted his head. "Us?" Lucas smiled softly. "Yeah, you." Chloe picked up the drawing and handed it to him. "You don't have to be a shadow anymore." Lucas took it carefully, folding it once and sliding it into his wallet behind his ID. A new photo, a new beginning. That night, for the first time in years, Lucas Reed didn't fall asleep thinking about profit or product launches. He fell asleep thinking about daisies and a woman he should have never let go. The next morning broke with soft light streaming through the kitchen windows. Chloe sat cross-legged at the counter, sketching on a napkin, her brow furrowed. Ethan hovered by the smart fridge, poking buttons he barely understood. Lucas poured 3 mugs of cocoa, his movements slower than usual. He hadn't slept much. Natalie's emails kept replaying in his mind. "Morning," he said, sliding a mug toward Chloe. She glanced up. "You don't have any paper?" Lucas opened a drawer and pulled out a full sketch pad. "I think this'll work better." Her eyes lit up. "Thanks." Ethan sat down beside her. "What are you drawing?" Chloe turned the pad around. A small robot stood beside 2 kids, holding an umbrella over them in the rain. "I call it Guardian." Lucas paused, staring at the drawing. "Why's it holding the umbrella?" Chloe shrugged. "To protect them. From storms." Lucas swallowed hard, then nodded. "That's a good name." They ate quietly for a while, the clinking of spoons the only sound. Then Chloe asked, "When can we see Mom?" Lucas set his mug down. "Soon," he said. "But first, I need to understand everything." He stood and opened his laptop at the kitchen table. "Tell me again what happened." Ethan leaned forward. "It was 3 years ago. Mom got offered a job at this place, Vantage Robotics. She was excited at first, but then things changed." Lucas typed as he listened. "They said she stole their algorithm," Ethan continued. "But she didn't. She showed us. She'd written it before she even started there. She called it Ember Core." Lucas froze. He knew that name. Ember Core had become the backbone of one of Vantage's drone projects. He remembered seeing a presentation years ago. "What happened after they accused her?" "They sent cops," Chloe whispered. "They searched our apartment, took her away." Lucas rubbed his eyes. "Did she have a lawyer?" Ethan's voice dropped. "Yeah, some public guy. He didn't even listen to her." Lucas's jaw clenched. "That ends now." He grabbed his phone and stepped into his office, dialing one of the top criminal defense attorneys in the state. "Julian, it's Lucas Reed. I need your help." There was a pause. "Lucas, haven't heard from you since your IPO party. This isn't business, it's personal. A woman's in prison wrongfully. I need her name cleared." Lucas gave the details, fast and focused. When he hung up, he returned to the kitchen. Chloe looked up. "Are you going to help her?" Lucas met her eyes. "I already started." That afternoon, he took them back to their old neighborhood. The walk-up apartment was still there, tucked between a laundromat and a pawn shop. "Wait in the car," he said gently. Inside, the walls were stained. Mail piled beneath the door. Dust clung to the windows. On the living room shelf, untouched, was a framed photo. Natalie, Ethan, and Chloe. And beside it, a clay daisy the kids had made, its petals cracked but still intact. Lucas picked it up slowly. A daisy. just like the one Natalie wore in that old photo. He tucked it into his coat pocket and stepped back outside. As the car pulled away, Chloe asked, "Did you see it?" Lucas nodded. "Yeah, I saw everything." Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Lucas gathered the kids in the living room. "I talked to a lawyer," he said. "We're filing a motion to reopen the case, and I want you both to stay here, with me, until your mom comes home." Ethan shifted. "You mean, live here?" Lucas nodded. "If you want to." Chloe's eyes widened. "But what if someone says no, like a judge?" Lucas paused. "Then we'll fight, together." She stepped closer and pulled something from her backpack, a fresh drawing. The robot again, this time with Lucas stitched across its chest. She handed it to him. "Your guardian now." Lucas held the picture like it was glass. For the first time in years, he felt grounded. Not by tech, not by titles, but by trust, the daisy in his coat, the drawing in his hand. They weren't just symbols, they were hope. The cold air hit Lucas hard as he stepped out of the black SUV, its headlights cutting through the dusk outside the women's correctional facility just outside Boise. Ethan and Chloe waited back at the house with Margaret, a neighbor Lucas had hired temporarily, a warm woman with gentle eyes who used to tutor Chloe. Lucas took a breath and approached the front desk. "I'm here to visit Natalie Pierce." The guard looked up unimpressed. "She listed you as a denied contact." Lucas's stomach dropped. "I'm her kid's father." The guard frowned, then picked up the phone. "Wait here." Minutes passed. Then a different guard led Lucas down a hallway of flickering fluorescent lights. The walls were pale green. The chairs bolted to the floor. Lucas sat, hands folded, eyes locked on the door. It creaked open. And there she was. Natalie, thinner, paler, hair cropped short, but her eyes, sharp, fire behind them, hadn't changed. She hesitated in the doorway. "Lucas?" He stood slowly. "Hi." She didn't move closer. How did you find us?" He pulled the folded letter from his coat pocket, set it gently on the table. Natalie stared. "I gave that to Ethan 3 years ago." Lucas nodded. "He delivered food to my house, in the rain. Dropped this by accident." She sat down, slowly, cautiously. "I didn't know," Lucas said quietly. "Not about them, not about you being here. My assistant blocked every email." Natalie's face tightened. "I thought maybe you just didn't care." He shook his head. "I cared. I just didn't know." Silence settled. Lucas reached into his wallet and took out Chloe's drawing, the guardian robot. "She drew this last night," he said. "Said I'm the one holding the umbrella now." Natalie blinked fast, trying not to cry. "They're brilliant," Lucas added. "Chloe's an artist. Ethan writes code like he was born for it." A tear slid down her cheek. "I tried. I really did." Lucas leaned forward. "I believe you, and I'm getting you out." Her hands trembled. "I don't know if that's possible. They called me a thief. They sealed the case so fast. I've hired Julian Barrick." Her eyes widened. "The defense attorney? From the McKenna case? He's already digging into the files." Natalie let out a shaky breath. "Victor's not going to like this." Lucas stiffened. "Victor?" "My cousin. He helped with the kids at first. But then he started asking about money, about patents. When I said no, he backed away. But he always warned me. He had friends in the company." Lucas's heart pounded. "You think he was involved?" She nodded. "I think he helped frame me." Lucas stood. "I'll find out. I promise." As he turned to go, Natalie touched his hand. "Are they safe?" He nodded. "With me. Every day. They ask about you." Her voice cracked. Tell them I love them. I will. He walked out with the Guardian sketch tucked into his coat, a daisy still in the inside pocket. Back at the house, Chloe sat curled on the couch, watching the rain. Ethan was building a robot out of juice boxes and wires. Lucas stepped in, soaked from the drive. "Did you see her?" Chloe asked. "I did." Ethan looked up. "What did she say?" Lucas knelt between them. "She misses you, loves you, and she didn't do what they said. We're going to prove it." Chloe handed him another drawing. This time it was the Guardian again. But now, behind the robot, stood a woman with wild hair and bright eyes. "She's coming home," Chloe whispered. Lucas nodded, tears stinging his eyes. "Yeah, she is." Outside, the rain eased into a soft mist. Inside, the kids leaned into Lucas, their arms wrapped around him. No words, just warmth. No longer strangers, no longer lost. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the fight, and Lucas was ready. The next morning, Lucas sat in his study, the Guardian sketch spread out beside his laptop. On screen, Julian Barrick's voice crackled through a secure video call. "I got the case files," Julian said. "Your assistant wasn't exaggerating. This thing stinks." Lucas leaned forward. "How bad?" "Emails disappeared. Testimony rushed. 0 chain of custody for the code they claimed Natalie stole. Whoever orchestrated this wanted it buried fast." Lucas's voice sharpened. "Victor Pierce, can we link him?" Julian hesitated. "Not yet, but I found something strange. Natalie's private emails were forwarded to an external address before they reached your domain." Lucas's jaw clenched. "You think it was my old assistant?" "I do. Working with someone else. Probably Victor." Lucas stared at the drawing again. The Guardian's arms stretched wide, shielding 2 children. "Whatever it takes," he said. "I want Natalie's name cleared." Later that day, Lucas took the kids to a local robotics lab he'd once funded. The air smelled of solder and plastic, wires running like veins along the walls. He watched as Ethan's eyes lit up, fingers tracing the etched steel of an open robot shell. "Whoa," Ethan breathed. "This is like better than any school." "You're going to build your own here," Lucas said, smiling. Chloe tugged his sleeve. "Can I draw the models?" "You're the head designer now," he replied. They grinned. For a moment, it felt like the world had always been this way. Back home, Lucas sifted through old emails with a new urgency. Then he found it. One message from Natalie dated 10 years ago. The subject line, "Please don't forget Seattle." He opened it. "Lucas, I'm pregnant. I didn't plan this, but I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. If you ever wonder, they'll have your eyes." Lucas stared at the screen, heart pounding. The truth had been there the whole time, just buried. His phone buzzed. Julian again. "We've got a problem," he said. "Victor just filed for emergency custody of the kids." Lucas stood, stunned. "What?" "He claims Natalie named him temporary guardian in her will. He's petitioning to remove them from your care, says you're a threat." Lucas's blood ran cold. "A threat?" "He's alleging emotional manipulation. Says you're using the kids for public image." Lucas grabbed his keys. "Where's the hearing?" "Downtown. 2 p.m. tomorrow." That night he sat beside the kids in the living room, struggling to find the words. "Victor wants custody," he finally said. Chloe blinked. "What does that mean?" Lucas tried to steady his voice. "It means he's trying to take you away from me." Ethan's jaw tightened. "He doesn't even like us." "I know," Lucas said, "and we're going to fight this." Chloe leaned into him, voice trembling. "But what if the court believes him?" Lucas reached into his coat, pulling out the clay daisy from their old apartment. "He tried to bury the truth," he said softly. "But you, your mom, you left pieces of it everywhere." He held out the daisy. "This is proof we're real, that she loved you, that she never gave up." Chloe took it in both hands, delicate like glass. then we won't either. The next morning, Lucas dressed them in clean clothes, helped Chloe braid her hair, and tucked Ethan's sketchbook into his backpack, just in case. As they stepped out, Ethan stopped. "Look," Lucas turned. On the window, drawn in the morning condensation, was a new sketch, the Guardian again. But this time, 3 small figures stood beneath the umbrella: Chloe, Ethan, and Lucas. "I drew it," Ethan whispered, "because you're not alone anymore either." Lucas didn't say anything. He just put his arm around their shoulders and walked with them into the day. The courthouse steps loomed like stone giants as Lucas pulled the car into the parking lot. Ethan sat stiffly in the back seat, gripping his sketchbook. Chloe clutched the clay daisy, wrapped in a soft cloth like a fragile secret. Lucas turned to them. "Whatever happens in there, I want you to remember something." The kids looked up. "You are my family," he said. "No one, no lie, can change that." Inside, the courtroom was quiet but charged. Victor stood near the judge's bench in a tailored suit, arms crossed, smirking as if the outcome were already decided. Lucas took his seat beside Julian, tension wound tight in his shoulders. The judge, a silver-haired woman with sharp eyes, glanced over the file. "We're here on a petition from Mr. Victor Pierce, claiming guardianship of Ethan and Chloe Pierce. Mr. Reed, you've assumed temporary care. Mr. Barrick, your response." Julian rose. "We intend to prove Mr. Reed is not only the children's biological father, but that the petitioner's motivations are entirely financial." Victor scoffed. "I've known them since birth. Natalie entrusted me with everything." Julian calmly produced a printed email. "Your Honor, this is a message sent from Natalie Pierce to Lucas Reed, dated 10 years ago. She informed him of her pregnancy. These emails were intercepted by a third party now under investigation." The judge read the letter quietly, her brow furrowing. Julian continued. "Furthermore, Mr. Reed has provided shelter, stability, and emotional support. And the children," Lucas leaned over. "Let them speak." Julian nodded. "Your Honor, we request the court hear from the children directly." The judge hesitated, then signaled, "Bring them in." Ethan stepped forward first, hands shaking slightly. He looked straight at the judge. "My mom told me to trust people who show up. Mr. Reed showed up. Victor didn't." Chloe followed, holding the daisy carefully in her palm. "This was in our old house. It's all we had left of her. Mr. Reed saved it." The courtroom was silent. She added, "I don't want to go with Victor. He yells when he thinks no one's listening, and he said Mommy deserved prison." A murmur rippled through the room. Victor snapped, "They're just kids. They don't know what they're saying." The judge raised her hand. "Enough." She looked at the children, then at Lucas. "Mr. Reed, are you prepared to assume full custody if the court grants it?" "I am," Lucas said, rising to his feet. "Every day, every hour, I will protect them." And the judge sat back thinking. Then, finally, she said, "Custody will remain with Mr. Reed, pending full investigation. Mr. Pierce, your petition is denied." Victor's jaw dropped. "This isn't over." Lucas met his eyes calmly. "Yes, it is." Outside, the sun had broken through a patch of clouds. Chloe slipped her hand into Lucas's as they walked down the steps. "I was scared," she whispered. Lucas looked down at her. "Me too." Ethan held up his sketchbook. "Look what I made." He flipped it open to a new page. 3 stick figures holding hands with a 4th figure behind them. A woman, tall, smiling, wearing a daisy in her hair. Lucas felt his throat tighten. "That's her." "Yeah," Ethan said. "She's coming home." Back at the house, the living room felt different, lighter. Lucas placed the daisy and the sketchbook on a shelf beside the Guardian drawing. Chloe added her newest drawing beside it, this one of a heart made of gears, each one turning the next. She wrote above it, "Together we work." Lucas looked around the room. No tech launch, no company slogan, just children. laughter, symbols of trust. He exhaled slowly, and the fight wasn't finished. But the family, it had already begun. The next morning, the sun streamed gently through the kitchen windows as Lucas flipped pancakes onto plates. Chloe sat at the counter, coloring her robot heart sketch, now labeled with each family member's name inside the gears. Ethan, meanwhile, leaned over the kitchen table, eyes locked on his laptop screen. "Dad," Ethan said, voice tight with excitement, "come look at this." Lucas dried his hands and walked over. On screen was a simulation of a small AI assistant, a robot designed to track weather patterns and adapt to the user's mood. "I call it Sky Buddy," Ethan said. "It knows when it's going to rain, and it gives people umbrellas." Lucas raised his eyebrows. "Like your Guardian sketch?" Ethan nodded. "Only this one's real. I used open-source code and parts from that old drone you gave me." Lucas was speechless. "Ethan, this is impressive." Chloe chimed in. "I helped too. I designed the face. See? It smiles when you smile." Lucas sat down, stunned. "You two are building something together." "Like Mom used to do with us," Ethan said. That hit Lucas harder than he expected. He looked at the screen again. Sky, Buddy smiled back with blinking blue lights. Later that afternoon, Lucas drove them to his downtown AI lab. He hadn't brought anyone here in months, but today was different. Inside, the white walls gleamed, lined with prototypes and shelves of parts. Engineers and researchers paused to look up as Lucas entered with the kids. "Hey, team," he said. "Meet our newest innovators, Ethan and Chloe Pierce." The team chuckled, intrigued. Lucas nodded toward the main desk. "We're clearing that for them." Ethan's jaw dropped. "Wait, seriously? You two start building," Lucas said. "You've earned it." The twins lit up. Hours passed. Wires tangled, code compiled, drawings scattered across the table. Chloe designed the arms to extend like wings. Ethan programmed Sky Buddy to track speech tone and adjust its lighting to match mood. Lucas sat back, watching them. Not as a CEO, but as a father. Then his phone buzzed. It was Julian. Lucas stepped into the hallway. "Good news," Julian said. "The board at Vantage Robotics just admitted they can't verify the original code claim against Natalie." Lucas's breath caught. "Are you saying—" "They're not dropping the charges yet, but it's unraveling. I think we'll have enough for a formal dismissal next week." Lucas closed his eyes. "Thank you." "There's more," Julian added. "A name came up in the original audit. Victor had an unregistered account that accessed the internal code logs. The timeline matches the day Natalie was accused." Lucas's voice dropped. "That's it. That's our proof." He hung up and walked back in. The kids looked up immediately. "Was it about Mom?" Chloe asked. Lucas knelt beside them. "Yes, we're close. A few more days, and she might walk free." Ethan grinned. "Can we tell her about Sky Buddy?" Lucas smiled. "Soon, I promise." That evening, back at the house, they sat around the living room. Chloe placed the Guardian sketch, the robot heart, and now a new one, Sky Buddy, into a makeshift scrapbook titled The Beginning. Lucas watched as she carefully drew a daisy in the corner of the cover. "Why the flower?" he asked gently. Chloe looked up. "Because Mom said daisies grow in the hardest places." Lucas's voice caught. "That's true." He rose and grabbed something from the bookshelf, a small framed photo of Natalie at the old Seattle conference with a daisy behind her ear. He placed it beside the scrapbook. "There," he whispered. "Now we're all in it." The night grew quiet. The kids curled on the couch, Sky Buddy simulation still running on the screen. Lucas sat beside them, one arm around each shoulder. This wasn't just rebuilding. This was reprogramming their story, together. It was a calm Thursday when everything shifted again. Lucas had just returned from a board meeting when he found Chloe in the kitchen, her eyes puffy, staring out the window. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. She didn't answer right away. Then, in a whisper, she said, "Victor came to our school." Lucas froze. "What?" Ethan walked in, eyes stormy. "He tried to talk to us during recess, said you were lying, said Mom wouldn't want us living with you." Lucas felt his blood run cold. "Did he touch either of you?" "No," Ethan said, fists clenched. "But he gave this to Chloe." Chloe held out a folded piece of paper. Lucas took it. Inside was a printed email, edited to look like Natalie had written it. The lines were twisted to imply that Victor was the only one she trusted. But the formatting was wrong. The date was fake. A forgery. "He's getting desperate," Lucas muttered. "He knows he's about to lose everything." That night, Lucas met Julian in a quiet booth at a downtown cafe. "He's trying to plant documents now," Lucas said, sliding the fake email across the table. Julian skimmed it. "This is sloppy and stupid, but dangerous. If he's trying to manipulate the kids, the court needs to know." Lucas nodded. "File a restraining order and dig deeper. If he's showing up at their school, he's not just after custody anymore. He wants leverage." The next day, Lucas met with the school principal. Security was tightened. Ethan and Chloe were reassured. But the damage lingered. Back at the house, Chloe sat on the stairs, sketchbook in her lap. Lucas knelt beside her. "Can I see?" She turned the page. A new drawing. Sky Buddy standing between two dark figures, shielding a girl with a daisy in her hand. Lucas's voice was soft. "You drew how you felt." She nodded. "He scared me." Lucas wrapped an arm around her. "He won't get near you again. I promise." Meanwhile, Ethan worked late in the lab that evening. Lucas joined him after dinner. "I rewrote the Sky Buddy code," Ethan said. "Gave it voice recognition and alert features. If someone tries to scare Chloe again, it'll send an alert." Lucas blinked. "You did that already?" Ethan shrugged. "She's my sister?" Lucas smiled. "You're more like your mom every day." Just then, Lucas's phone lit up. It was an unknown number. He answered. A low voice said, "Tell the kids goodbye while you can. Natalie won't make it to trial." The line clicked dead. Lucas stood slowly, his face pale. "Dad?" Ethan asked. Lucas's voice shook. "It was him." He turned to Ethan. "Go upstairs, now. Take your sister and lock the door." Ethan hesitated, then sprinted up the steps. Lucas immediately called Julian. "He just threatened Natalie," Lucas said. "I need prison security increased, and we need police protection here." Julian's tone turned grave. "I'll get it done." That night, police cruisers parked outside the house. The kids slept upstairs, huddled together under one blanket. Sky Buddy sat by their door, blinking blue, watching. Lucas paced the hallway, the clay daisy in his hand. It felt too light for the weight it carried. At sunrise, he walked outside. Mist clung to the grass. The world looked untouched. But inside, he knew everything had changed again. This wasn't just about clearing Natalie's name anymore. It was about protecting what they'd begun. As he walked back toward the house, he noticed something new on the porch. Chloe's sketchbook, opened to a blank page. But in the center, one word had been written in pencil. "Fight." Lucas ran a finger over it, then looked up at the sky. No more waiting. The next move was his. Lucas sat in the back seat of a black sedan, hands clasped tight, as Julian scrolled through files on a tablet beside him. The car turned onto a narrow street and stopped outside a Boise, nondescript brick building, Victor's last known business address. "You sure about this?" Julian asked. Lucas nodded. "He threatened Natalie. My kids. I'm not waiting anymore." They entered quietly. Inside was a tech repair front, dusty and empty except for one nervous-looking clerk. Lucas flashed a business card. "I'm here about Victor Pierce." The clerk paled. "He doesn't work here anymore." Julian leaned in. "We're not customers." The clerk hesitated, then slid a flash drive across the counter. "He left this behind. Said not to touch it, but he never came back." Back in the car, Julian plugged it into the tablet. Files opened. Contracts, code transfers, emails. Lucas squinted. "That's the original Ember Core code." Julian tapped a line. "And that's a transfer to Vantage Robotics, signed by Victor Pierce." Lucas felt his breath catch. Julian smiled. "This proves Victor stole the code and framed Natalie to cover his tracks." Lucas's phone buzzed. A call from Natalie's prison counselor. "Mr. Reed, she collapsed during morning lineup. She's stable now, but she asked for you." Lucas's heart dropped. "Tell her I'm on my way." He turned to Julian. "We move fast. I want this in front of the court within 48 hours. Julian nodded. "I'll have the motion ready by morning." That evening, Lucas walked the sterile corridor of the infirmary wing, escorted by a silent guard. Natalie lay on a narrow bed, pale, an IV in her arm, but her eyes lit up when she saw him. "Lucas." He reached her bedside. "I found it. The proof. Victor's file. It's over." Tears formed at the corners of her eyes. "I was so tired. I thought maybe I wouldn't make it." "You will," Lucas whispered. "We're almost there. Just hold on." She reached weakly for his hand. "How are the kids?" "Strong," Lucas said. "They built a robot, drew new stories. Chloe calls me Dad now, sometimes without even realizing it." Natalie smiled through her tears. "You were always meant to be part of them." Lucas leaned closer. "You'll see them soon, I swear." Back at the house, Chloe sat at the dining table, sketching a new image. She drew their house, but this time with 4 people standing in front: herself, Ethan, Lucas, and Natalie. In Natalie's hand was a daisy. Ethan walked over and sat beside her. "She's gonna make it." "I know," Chloe said, adding the final line at the bottom of the page. "The family that code couldn't erase." Lucas returned home just before midnight. He stepped into the living room and saw the drawing on the table. He picked it up slowly, eyes tracing every line. Then he added something of his own. In the corner, he drew a small guardian robot holding a heart. And below it, he wrote one word: home. The next morning, Lucas and Julian filed the evidence. Within hours, the court called for a formal hearing. Victor, now in hiding, had vanished, but his lies couldn't run. Lucas called the kids into the kitchen. "We have a hearing in 3 days," he said, "and if all goes well, Mom's coming home." Ethan's face broke into a grin. Chloe jumped into Lucas's arms. Lucas held them close, heart pounding. They were so close now, closer than ever. And nothing, not fraud, not fear, not even time, could stop what was coming next. 3 days later, the courtroom was packed. Reporters whispered in the back row. Lucas sat in the front, Chloe's drawing tucked into his coat pocket. The house, the 4 of them, the daisy. Ethan held Chloe's hand. They were both dressed in navy, polished shoes, hearts pounding. Natalie hadn't arrived yet. Then the doors opened and she entered. Thin but upright, her eyes locked on her children. Chloe gasped. "Mom!" The guard motioned her to stay silent, but the judge gave a gentle nod. Natalie's eyes welled as she took her seat beside Julian. "Court is now in session," the judge announced. "We are here to determine the legitimacy of past charges against Natalie Pierce in the matter of intellectual property theft and the recent motion to dismiss based on new evidence." Julian rose. "Your Honor, We present a flash drive containing digital records of code transfers from Natalie's account, falsely rerouted by Victor Pierce, who also attempted custody of the children. These transfers prove both fraud and obstruction of justice. The judge nodded. We'll hear testimony. Lucas stood and walked to the front. Lucas Reed, CEO of Ava Mind Technologies. I met Natalie Pierce at an AI summit 12 years ago. She created the Ember Core framework. Not only did I witness it, I watched her sketch it, test it, live it. He paused. She emailed me for help, over and over, but someone blocked those messages. I failed her, but I won't fail her again. The judge turned to Natalie. Miss Pierce, do you wish to speak? Natalie stood. Her voice was steady. I built Ember Core. I signed a contract with Vantage Robotics in good faith, but my cousin Victor sold them my work behind my back. When I resisted, they silenced me and framed me. She looked directly at the judge. I was taken from my children. They were just kids. And I thought they'd grow up thinking I abandoned them. Her voice cracked. But Lucas found them, and they brought me back. Ethan stepped forward suddenly. Can I say something? Julian turned, surprised. The judge raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. Ethan held up a printed circuit diagram, his prototype of SkyBuddy. I coded this with my sister. Mom taught us how to create, but Mr. Reed taught us how to stand. Chloe joined him, holding the guardian drawing. This was always about protection, she said. Mom kept us safe with love. Lucas kept us safe with action. Please bring her home. The judge sat silently for a moment. Then she leaned forward. After reviewing the evidence, I hereby order the charges against Natalie Pierce to be dismissed, effective immediately. Her record will be expunged. Miss Pierce, you are free. A collective breath swept the room. Natalie gasped, covering her mouth. Chloe rushed to her, arms wrapping around her waist. Ethan joined seconds later. Lucas approached, slower, his eyes meeting hers. You're home, he said softly. Natalie reached out, hand trembling, and touched his cheek. You kept your promise. Outside, cameras flashed, but none of them mattered. Back at the house, they placed the drawing, now signed by all four of them, into the scrapbook. Above it, Chloe wrote a new title, The Trial That Gave Us Back Our Family. Natalie sat by the window that night, daisy in her hair again. Lucas joined her with 2 cups of tea. I almost forgot what peace feels like, she whispered. Lucas smiled. It's just the beginning. In the hallway, SkyBuddy beeped quietly as it scanned the house. Ethan grinned. All systems safe. Chloe nodded. Home is secure. Lucas looked around the room. Natalie, the kids, the symbols of love stitched into every drawing, every corner. It wasn't just a victory in court. It was the return of everything that mattered. The front door swung open, and Natalie stepped inside, blinking against the warm light. Ethan and Chloe ran toward her, their arms flying wide. Mom! They shouted in unison. Natalie dropped her bag and caught them both, holding them close. Lucas stood back, watching the reunion with a lump in his throat. The years apart seemed to melt away in their embraces. Chloe pulled back and looked up at Natalie, her eyes shining. You're really here. Natalie smiled, brushing damp hair from Chloe's forehead. I am, and I'm not going anywhere. Ethan, usually guarded, reached out to grasp Natalie's hand. We made something for you. Natalie's smile softened. Show me. They led her to the living room where the Guardian scrapbook lay open on the coffee table. Natalie ran her fingers over the drawings, the robot umbrella, the heart of gears, the new page with the 3 standing figures, and the daisy. This is beautiful, she whispered. You kept me alive with these stories. Lucas stepped closer. And now we build new ones, together. Later, in the kitchen, Natalie pulled out a worn clay daisy from her purse, the very same one Lucas had found at their old apartment. "I never forgot this," she said, handing it to Chloe. Chloe's eyes widened as she cradled the fragile flower. "It's real." "It's a symbol," Natalie said, "of hope, of growth in the hardest places." Lucas smiled, watching the two connect over something so small, yet so powerful. The next morning, Lucas woke early to find Natalie standing by the window, gazing out at the city skyline. He approached quietly. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Like I've been given a second chance," she said, turning to him, "and a family." He reached out, taking her hand. "We all need that." Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the house filled with laughter, noise, and life. Ethan coded late into the night, building new AI projects inspired by Natalie's work. Chloe's sketches covered every wall, vibrant and full of dreams. One afternoon, Chloe burst into the office, waving a folded paper. "Look what I made, Dad!" Lucas took the drawing, a colorful robot with a heart glowing bright, standing beneath a daisy tree. Inside the heart were the words, "Family is the code that never breaks." Lucas's eyes glistened. "Perfect." Natalie joined them, wrapping an arm around Lucas's waist. "We did it," she said softly. "All of us." Lucas kissed her forehead. But beneath their happiness, a shadow lingered. A letter arrived one evening, stamped official and cold. Lucas opened it slowly. The state was still investigating Victor's accomplices. More battles lay ahead. But as he folded the letter, his eyes landed on the Guardian drawing on the wall. The daisy in the corner caught the light. A promise, a reminder. No matter what came next, they would face it together. Because family, real family, was stronger than any code. The morning air was crisp and clear as the family gathered outside their new cafe, nestled on a cozy corner in downtown Boise. The sign above the door gleamed, "Code and Soul." Painted in bold letters, it promised more than coffee, it promised connection. Lucas adjusted the ribbon, stretched across the entrance. Chloe stood beside him, clutching a bouquet of daisies, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Ethan, eyes wide, held a small tablet displaying the cafe's AI-powered menu, designed with his coding skills. Natalie arrived, her smile radiant, cradling a worn, leather-bound notebook, the journal she had kept through the darkest days. She glanced at the daisy-shaped charm hanging from her neck, matching the flowers in Chloe's hand. Lucas cleared his throat. "Welcome, everyone. This place is more than just a cafe. It's a tribute to family, to hope, and to the power of never giving up." As the ribbon was cut, a gentle breeze stirred the daisies, scattering petals softly onto the pavement. Inside, the walls were adorned with the family's art, Chloe's vibrant robot sketches, Ethan's code snippets framed like poetry, and Natalie's handwritten letters, a testament to resilience. Customers sipped coffee brewed by friendly baristas, many pausing to read a plaque near the door. "From storms, we rise. From loss, we build. Family is the heart of every code." Later, as the sun dipped low, Lucas and Natalie sat outside, watching their children laugh over hot chocolate. Chloe turned to Lucas. "Look what I made, Dad." She handed him a new drawing, the Guardian robot, now standing beside two smaller figures, arms linked, one holding a daisy. Lucas smiled. "It's perfect." Natalie took his hand. "We made this, together." But as joy filled the evening, a shadow lingered. Lucas's phone buzzed. A message from Julian. "Victor's network is still active. Legal challenges ahead." Lucas folded the phone away. He looked at Natalie and the kids. "This isn't the end," he said, "but it's our beginning." Chloe placed her hand over the daisy charm at his neck. "Then let's keep growing." And beneath the fading light, with petals whispering on the breeze, Code and Soul stood as a beacon, a promise that no matter what storms came, family would always be their shelter. The sun poured golden light through the windows of the Code and Soul Cafe as laughter and soft conversation filled the air. Natalie stood behind the counter, carefully arranging fresh flowers, daisies, of course, in small glass jars. The scent mingled with the rich aroma of coffee beans roasting in the background. Lucas sat at a corner table, watching Ethan and Chloe enthusiastically explaining their latest AI project to a group of curious customers. Ethan's fingers danced over the tablet, while Chloe sketched ideas on a napkin, her eyes bright with hope. Lucas caught Natalie's gaze across the room. She smiled, a mixture of pride and relief. A young woman approached, holding a worn envelope. "Miss Pierce, this was left for you." Natalie's fingers trembled as she took it. Inside was a letter sealed with a simple daisy emblem. She opened it carefully. "Dear Natalie," it read, "we were wrong. Your name is cleared. Your fight inspired us all. Welcome home." Tears welled in Natalie's eyes as she looked up at Lucas. "It's official. They've dropped all charges. It's over." Lucas reached across the table, taking her hand. "You never walked alone." Chloe ran over, holding a new drawing. "Look, Dad," she said breathless. "I made a family tree, with daisies for every new beginning." Lucas studied it. At the center, a guardian robot stood tall, arms spread wide, sheltering 4 small figures beneath a sky full of stars. He smiled. "It's perfect." Outside, the city hummed softly, a new chapter unfolding. Later, as the evening settled, Lucas gathered the family in the quiet living room. The walls were lined with memories, drawings, photos, letters, a tapestry of their journey. He knelt beside Ethan. "You showed me how to believe again." Ethan nodded, eyes shining. Chloe leaned into Natalie. "And you showed me what hope looks like." Natalie kissed her forehead. Lucas looked at them all. "This family, this legacy, it's ours to protect." The clay daisy in his hand, once cracked and worn, now gleamed as a symbol of endurance. A whisper of promise. Together, they had weathered storms, fought shadows, and found light. Their story was far from over. But whatever came next, they would face it as one. Because love is the code that never breaks.